partial victory for Prince Harry with profound implications for the British media landscape. While newspapers say they've moved on from the dark arts of 20 years ago, the passing of time doesn't stop those who were in charge back then from being any less culpable. The ruling that those in senior positions at MGN, like former Chief Executive Sly Bailey and former editor Piers Morgan, knew about hacking and blagging, now puts the ball firmly in the police's court. Despite Morgan's repeated denials over the years, if the law was indeed broken, it's no longer a civil matter, but a criminal one.
I've never hacked a phone or told anybody else to hack a phone, and nobody has produced any actual evidence to prove that I did.
About time, say the whistleblowers who've repeatedly alleged top management knew and covered up.
It's difficult for me because I don't want to see journalists go to jail or lose their jobs, but at the very least they could tell the truth.
If you're wondering whether those employing Morgan for his journalistic integrity might consider taking him off air in the interim, well, that'll be for his Talk TV boss Richard Wallace to decide, also a former editor of The Mirror. More widely, the court's ruling will have a domino effect for other newspapers involved in legal proceedings with Prince Harry. Many of those private investigators who worked for MGN worked for their titles too. It, of course, also calls into question everything that was said under oath back in 2011 at the Leveson inquiry. The judge finding that at the same time as the public inquiry into culture, practices and ethics was taking place, remarkably, the practice of unlawful information gathering still continued. Up until now, the Conservatives have leaned towards less regulation, in fact dropping the second part of the Leveson inquiry. But campaigners would argue that this judgment is evidence of a press regulatory system that's failed. The question is whether the government will want to change anything. Will they want to go to war with the newspapers with an election looming? A royal reckoning with print media unleashing a can of worms.
I hope it would put the fear into the boots of newspaper editors up and down the country that, look, if you use illegal means, whether it's phone hacking, whether it's private investigators, wiretapping, whatever, to obtain those stories, you will be found out.
The ruling might be over practices from a different era, but the judgment is damning. At a time when the newspaper world is dying, of redundancies, of struggling readership numbers, the fallout from Harry's battle for accountability looks set to unleash hell when the industry was already on its knees. Katie Spencer, Sky News.